Welcome back to the Build Your Bankroll podcast with prolific Puck and myself, the Understudy. Just checking in. We're going to talk NFL Divisional playoffs this weekend. We're going to give you some fantastic picks. And of course, Daddy's home. Finally, he's been missing forever, but you're going to meet him today. Let's drop some knowledge on him, fellas.
Absolutely, Understudy. Let me talk a little bit about free picks and when you're going to get them and how you can use them. The first free pick you're going to get is going to be after your first bet, but only if you lose it. So you're going to make your initial deposit for, let's say, $100. You're going to take that $100. You're going to make your first bet. And if you lose, you're going to get a $100 free bet back. If you win, you win, and you're not going to get the free bet. But that's what leads me to the second type of free bet that you're going to get, which are just the $5 and $10 promotional free bets that each of these websites will give you from time to time, depending on how much you're wagering. So if you're wagering a lot, you're probably going to get 1 to 2 of these free promotional bets every day. If you're not wagering a whole lot, you might get 1 a week, 1 a month, etc. You guys get the point. For the $5 to $10 free promo bets that I just mentioned, here's how you're going to want to approach those. So because it's $5 and $10 and it's free, you're going to want to maximize the odds of these bets. So don't take just a normal straight money line play where it's, minus 110, minus 120. You're going to want to maximize your odds here, and you're going to want to combine multiple picks to make a parlay that will then maximize those odds to plus 200, plus 300, plus 400. You're going to want to combine 3 to 4 picks together to get the best odds and to drive the best return. Because for a $5 bet, to win $4 back is not all that exciting. But if you can combine 2, 3, 4 plays and hit them all on a $5 bet, you could turn that $5 into $25, $30, $40, depending on how big you get. So that's my advice on free picks. I'm going to flip it to Puck, and he's going to talk about an app called Pickit.
Yeah, with that said, we use an app called Pickit. It's Pikkit, and it's a great app that we have here. You can pull from a wide variety of different books. They all can sync to it. Just go to your local, app store, type in Pickit, and essentially what it does is it tracks all of your picks from all the books. You can look at it from a daily, weekly, monthly, even out to a yearly, and it'll tell you what your plus or minus is for that time. And then it'll track everything from that to your units. And it's a way that we're using it to then post out to our followers. So once you see that, we're basically pulling it all from Pickit. If you'd like to download it, I do have a promotion code here. It's Rebound 10120. Rebound 10120. Feel free, you can use that if you'd like, but Pickit is a great option for tracking bets.
Fellows, thanks for dropping some knowledge on us. I've got the honor and the privilege to introduce Daddy's home. He's been missing. We don't even know where he's been. I don't even know. I'm completely lost of words, but we're excited to have him here. Daddy's home, welcome to the Build Your Bankroll podcast.
So happy to be here, guys. Thank you.
Man, the one question that we all have, and it, let's be honest, your name is fantastic. Daddy's home. There's got to be history behind it. How do you even acquire such a name as Daddy's home?
Well, my actual daddy was never home, but in college, dude, I'm no 8 out of 10 or anything like that. So I had to lower my standards. And after getting rejected so many times and trying to do the flowers and the candies to pick up chicks, finally I just said, fuck it, and went knock, knock, Daddy's home. It didn't work, but the name just stuck. It's a wonderful name. So I ran with it ever since, and yeah.
And
history,
for those of you who don't know, Daddy's home hails from Indiana University. He is a Hoosier and a fanatic when it comes to the Indianapolis Colts. Any quick Colts thoughts before we slide over to something else?
Just please, for the love of God, CJ Stroud. Just bring him to Indy.
Yeah.
stop getting the white guys that are old, they can't move. Just get some fucking mobility where we can actually convert on 3rd and 2, and just not Jeff Saturday, please. Please. No Jeff Saturday. He's awful. And just Irsay can just stick to the pills and the drunk driving. I don't give a shit. Just CJ Stroud's all I want, and I'll be happy.
You got some Ohio State fans here, so you're in good company, as we are all big fans of CJ Stroud. That dude he's special. One other understanding we have that we wanted to quickly talk through is you have a love for Japanese basketball. Can you tell me about your inner workings of Japanese basketball?
Yeah, I was just recently in Columbus, Ohio, and I had like 5 flight cancellations. So I had a layover in Chicago, and for like 8 hours. So I just went to the United Lounge, and of course it's like 2 in the morning. So the only thing I can bet on is like the Royal Beijing Tigers. And so I was like, you know what? I'm bored. I'm not tired. So I had some drinks in me, and I bet the under. I threw 500 down on that. Meanwhile, while my wife's trying to talk to me, I'm not listening. I'm literally just watching this under like a hawk because like it's all the way like in China or, you know, like wherever. I can't even watch the game. Sports Surge doesn't even have it. So I'm literally just staring at my phone nonstop and watching the number tick, 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 and tick. And ever since then, I've just been highly addicted. You know, like the Beijing Royal Tigers. There's some weird other names, but I mean, I hit a lot on it. Actually, always bet the under. You know, like I love Japan. I never been there, but they can't shoot for the life of them. So therefore, you know, I'm an avid Japan basketball fan.
Oh God. That's wonderful.
Well, you're in great company with the understudy there.
Yep, indeed.
Oh, yeah.
You know I love a good under. I personally have never bet on, I'm sorry, no, I have never bet on Japan basketball, nor have I met anyone that has endured Japanese basketball. So that's special, man. Thanks for sharing that.
Dude, like if it's 3 a.m. and like you're on the sports betting app and you click the live button, it'll always be there for you.
That's true. That's absolutely true. With that, we're going to get more into Daddy's Home as the show goes on, but let's kick it over to some divisional playoff games with the NFL.
All right, fellas, let's break down the NFL Divisional Playoff Round with the first game, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Jacksonville Jaguars. We're playing this game in Kansas City. Kansas City is a huge favorite, 8.5 points. They're laying this at home. Obviously, the total's up there at 52.5, so a lot of points expected in this one. We're gonna kick it off and each kind of give our thoughts, and then we'll give our picks at the end. But my thoughts on this one is Jacksonville's kind of got that Energizer Bunny quality in them. You know, they never stop. They keep going. They keep fighting. They've won 6 in a row. They've won 7 of their last 8. They've covered 5 of their last 6. They're scoring a lot of points. Their defense is actually playing pretty well. This is a tough Jaguars team right now, and you've got Doug Peterson, who's got the experience with Philly. He had the magical run a few years ago with them, and this team kind of feels a lot like that team. I don't know that this team wins a Super Bowl, but I think they're going to be competitive. They're going to fight. They're never going to quit, and they're not going to go away. These two teams played 7 or 8 weeks ago in Kansas City, so it's a repeat of that game. KC won by 10. It was a tough-fought game. I think we're going to be looking at a similar game here. It's going to be tough-fought, but Jacksonville's going to hang around. I have no doubt that they're going to hang around. So what are Understudy, Puck, Daddy's Home? What do you guys think?
I would say, for me, just a couple of thoughts. The Chiefs are actually one of the worst teams against the spread all year. They're 6-11 against the spread. Something to consider as we go into this playoff game this week. 8.5 points in a playoff game is a ton. That's monumental, in my opinion. The momentum factor all goes with the Jags right now. They're playing great football. They're resilient. They don't give up, and they just chip away at you. And against a team like KC, that's exactly what you have to do. And I'm going to give the coaching nod to Doug Peterson. I think he's the better coach in this contest as well. But I'm going to throw one more piece out there that I found really interesting. Trevor Lawrence is undefeated on Saturdays. I'll leave it right there. Guys, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I had that stat as well. He's actually 37-0 on Saturdays from high school to college and now in the pros. But I'm going to have to go against you on the coaching. Andy Reid coming off of a bye. My research shows he's 20-3 against the teams after a bye.
He's out.
The other thing that I was going to bring up is Jacksonville really struggled with the Chargers last week. 4 picks, 2 sacks. I think that's going to play a big factor this week. The other piece is, too, the defense for Kansas City. They've got the number 1 interior defensive lineman. He led the NFL in sacks from the interior line. Chris Jones, 15.5 sacks. And the last piece is, I'll say,
what a stat. Where'd that puppy come from?
Yeah, pulled that puppy out.
Yeah, nice work.
The last thing that I had, though, is looking ahead at this game, 60% chance of rain. So they're going to have to run the ball. I think there's going to be a lot of tick-tock in this game. You got ETN, you've got Edwards-Helaire. They're going to be toting the rock a lot here. I don't think they're going to be throwing the pill all over the lot.
Daddy's home. What are your thoughts?
I really like the plus with 8.5. The Jags don't have Urban Meyer anymore. They actually have a really great coach in there. And since it is going to be like a running game, I think Doug is really going to try to make it a one-dimensional game. And let's be honest, Isaiah Pacquiao, or however the fuck you say it, isn't great, but he isn't also good, and he fumbles a lot. And I think with the Chiefs not having Tyreek Hill, they're not as explosive, and the game really comes down to Patrick Mahomes doing his magic. So I really think that they're going to try to pressure them to run the ball a lot, given the rain as well. I really like Jacksonville covering here, plus 8.5. I really like that bet.
I think you're spot on. For a play on this one, for me, it's a no-brainer. Plus 8.5. I'm all over the Jags. I'll leave it there.
That is a lot of points for a playoff game.
Absolutely.
Yep, I'm with you there. That's my play as well. I'm Jacksonville plus 8.5.
I'm going to take the under here. I've got it all the way up at 53. I know I said earlier Edwards-Helaire is going to be toting the rock. He can't tote it from the IR. So Pacheco, I think, is his name. He's going to be carrying the pill for Kansas City. So, yeah, I've got it at 53. Seems like it's moved up a little bit. Again, go look at your book, see what you can get it at. But I've got the under, and especially if it's going to rain, it's going to be a slop fest there.
Yeah, I don't mind that either. One thing I'll say is the Jacksonville, they are under 3 of their last 4, but those 3 were against patty cakes. Not good, not terrible offenses. The Jets, Houston, and Tennessee. And that's Tennessee with Malik Willis. So those are the under. When they play high-powered offenses, it tends to get up there in points. But hopefully the rain plays a big factor here, and you cash that under.
All right, on to the next.
The next game we're going to talk about is the Giants and Eagles. This game is Saturday night, kickoff at 8:15 in Philadelphia at Lincoln Financial Field. We've got the Eagles favored by 7.5. Some books have it at 8, so go around and shop depending on which side you're leaning here. But we've got a total of 48. Seems to be pretty consistent across most of the books. In this game, I'm looking at the Giants. They have been on a tear recently. They have covered the 7 of their last 8. Only game they didn't cover was against Philly. That was back on December 11th. They got really blown out by Philly, 48-22. But they most recently 22-16. It was a tight game. Not only are they covering, they're covering by huge margins. So the Giants, they were a 2.5-point dog. They won by 7. So that's a 9.5-point differential. They had an 11-point differential against Philly, 22.5-point differential against your Colts, Daddy, and 12.5 points against the Redskins. So this team, not only are they covering, they're covering big. I see they're going to continue to play hard. Dayball is just a fantastic offensive mind. He's going to have some things schemed up against Philly. Philly, their coach, focused on offense. They're going to put up points. I think the Giants are going to put up points. They're going to keep pace. But yeah, I see the Giants competing in this game, similar to the Jacksonville game. There's a lot of points in a playoff game. 7.5, 8 points, division rivals. It's a lot of points. So, fellas, what do you guys think?
I'm not really on either side. And if I was going to lean any way, I think I'd be interested in the under just a touch. These teams played back on December 11th with a total of 70 points scored. And then they played again here recently, January 8th, with a total of 38 points scored. So one thing that's clear is they're starting to understand the schemes of each other much better. And I expect a chippy, grindy kind of contest where I feel like the under is much more favorable than the over. So that would be my only lean in this game.
I definitely like the over. I think that the Eagles are like a three-dimensional team. They can run the ball, both with the running backs and like with Jalen Hurts, and just wear out the linebackers. And then also they could pass it to A.J. Brown that can easily get over 150 yards in like 3 tutties. And I just think experience matters. And I think the Giants are too reliant on Daniel Jones getting those rush yards as opposed to the Vikings don't really have a rush or like a strong defense. And that's why that they were exposed last week because like Kirk Cousins had a great game still. Everyone thinks just because the last play, like where he threw the 8-yard pass to TJ Hawkinson, that he's a shitty quarterback. I'd love to have him on the Colts, actually. But I really think that the Eagles are just going to use their momentum to keep going. They have an answer like for everything. They're great on defense. Special teams is great. Jalen Hurts can run and scramble. A.J. Brown, Miles Sanders. I think it'll be a high-scoring game. Like even when they put the scrubs in after they're up by 21 in the third quarter, Giants are going to keep fighting them because they have that coach that wants to continue to prove themselves. So I'm definitely taking the over.
Okay. Daddy, you're wrong, but thanks for showing up.
I've got a stat here that I think is going to blow your mind. Prolific, you may even want to take a look here at the end here after all the things you just said. Looking back here, the last 30 matchups between Philly and New York, Philly has a 24-6 record against them. They've swept them 8 times in a row. So it's been pretty incredible to see looking back on some of these stats. You called out the last 2 games, all that stuff. I just think that this game is going to be the prime time spot for a teaser. I think you need to tease down Philly to wherever you can get it at. I can get it at 1.5 here. And then I'm actually looking at the under as well. I'm looking at between 54.5, depending on what you can get. I see this as a perfect spot to take that 6-point teaser.
Yeah, I don't mind that tease as well because I do think Philly wins the game. I think they're a more complete team. They're a better team. But I if I was teasing it, I'm with Daddy. I'd be playing the over. I do think these 2 teams scored. Giants have figured it out on offense these last few weeks. Dayball's going to have some tricks up his sleeve. They're gonna score. I don't have any reservations against the Giants scoring. And the only piece about Philly that I'm a little worried about in terms of them scoring is Hurts hasn't played a whole lot in the last 3 or 4 weeks. So they got the bye last week. He played in their final game against the Giants. I think they only scored 22 points. And then he didn't play 2 weeks before that. So that's the only The only hesitancy I have towards the over is that Hurts just hasn't played a whole lot of football, and that's why I lean Giants. My pick here is Giants plus the 8. I'm going to jump on it here soon so that it doesn't move to 7.5 everywhere. I'm going to play the 8 and go from there.
Love it. No official play. Let's move on to the next again.
All right, on to the next one, as they would say. We've got Cincinnati at Buffalo. We're in Highmark Stadium for this one. This is Sunday at 3:00 in the afternoon. So hopefully you're cooking wings. You're getting ready for this one. You've got some good food laying on the table. This should be a fantastic game. This is a game that I think we all wished we would have seen a few weeks ago. Unfortunately, we didn't. But thank goodness DeMar Hamlin's doing fantastic. I can't even imagine the emotions that are going on in Buffalo's locker room this week. I think he's going to lead them out onto the field. I think they held that back. He could have done it last week. I think they waited for this game for him to lead them out onto the field. I'm going to get goosebumps. I'm going to get all emotional, but it's going to be fantastic. So I hope that happens. I think it's going to, and I can't wait to watch it. But Cincinnati at Buffalo, the emotions are going to be running high. Buffalo is going to be extremely pumped. This game has just got all of that working. But Cincy, they really have it working. They've won 9 games in a row. They've covered in 8 of those 9 games. The only game they didn't cover was this last game against Baltimore, playoff game, division rival. They just played them the week before. I don't think you can really count that game just because of the familiarity between the two squads. Joe Burrow in the playoffs, 5.5 points. I'm taking it. I think Cincy hangs around in this one. It's going to be a super competitive game. If Cincy was favored by 5.5, I'd be taking Buffalo. I think this game comes down to a field goal. It's going to come right down to it. Should see a lot of points. Should see some fireworks. Should be a fun game to watch. But I'm leaning Cincy in this one. So, fellas, what do you guys think?
First and foremost, I think at a minimum, DeMar Hamlin is going to do the old Marv Levy chant and lead them out and just say, you know how they do right before the game, where would you rather be than right here, right now? And all the fans just go crazy. So at a minimum, I think that's going to happen. I got one more weather update here, folks. 77, what does it say? 70% chance of snow for the game. So much like the other one that we talked about, I think you're going to have to carry the rock here. Running backs are going to be key. Mixon,
Look,
obviously.
Are you just checking weather reports all day? Or, what are we doing here? Okay.
Yep. Weather Channel's been a popular app here. Checking it out. So you know how it goes, though, in Buffalo. That lake effect, the wind, you don't know how this thing's going to go. They may have 35 feet of snow. They could have 3 drops. But it's saying 70% chance of snow. So I'm big on both teams carrying the rock. I don't know exactly where I'm going to play this just yet. I might just make an inline play here, but I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, and I think the teams are going to run the rock.
I love how you just played right into my player prop further because I already loved it. Now I absolutely I adore it. Prolific on the side, did you mention wings to parlay that with the city of Buffalo? Because you do know that the Buffalo Wing started at the Anchor Bar in Buffalo, just so you know. That's your fun fact.
I knew that, and all I said was, I hope you're cooking some wings for your pregame meal. That's all I said.
Okay, that's clever. Anyways, my player prop is going to be that for Mr. Josh Allen rushing yards. Look, Allen lately has been a little bit inconsistent, a little choppy. We've seen some errors out of him. I feel like he's in a spot where he's going to play a little bit more conservative. I don't think he's just going to be gripping and ripping the football. I love the conditions. I think that's favorable. He's averaging 47.5 rushing yards per game. The over-under for his prop is at 48.5. I think that a lot of opportunities come up for Josh Allen to run the football. So this is probably my favorite play out of this contest. But I can't see a spot where he's not forced to be a little safer in this playoff game. Daddy?
I'm definitely taking the Bengals plus 5.5. Sort of like the Eagles, like with that, like the rushing quarterback. I just think that, with Chase and T. Higgins and Mixon, and it snows in Ohio too. Like the Bengals aren't, like scared of snow. Like I really think that Mixon's going to either have a big game, but Joe Burrow's going to be able to rush a little bit, and then like you said, like with Josh Allen, is going to feel kind of tight. Because he's had all those turnovers, and the media is kind of like chiming in, and like that's going to get in his head. And like if you shut down Stephon Diggs, Bills aren't really the best running team. So I feel like that the Bengals are going to really make them one dimensional. Because like Josh Allen's going to get his rush yards. That's just how it is. He's a freak athlete that hurdles linebackers for first downs. He's big as shit. But like he's going to fumble and throw picks. I'm sorry, but Dawson Knox is no Gronk. Like I really like the Bengals. Like just way too explosive. So many weapons. So many like different things like to go to. I think that T. Higgins is going to be the deciding factor in that game. So I'm definitely taking Bengals plus 5.5.
I think
Love
I am
it.
going to make
Love
an
it.
official play here after hearing some of these things. Just as you were talking there, I was looking up a couple things. I think Joe Mixon, anytime touchdown, plus 115 are the odds there. For the year, he's got 9 touchdowns, 7 of them rushing. I just think this is a game that he's going to have to get in the trenches and run one in.
Puck coming out of the side stall on that one. Love it.
That's a great play, though.
Had to make
great
an official play.
All right, so we got Puck. You're at Joe Mixon, plus 115, anytime touchdown. Daddy and I are on the Bengals. Understudy. What did you play understudy? The under?
I'm going over 48.5 rushing yards for Josh Allen. I think he clears 70 tomorrow. Or Sunday, excuse me.
Love it. Love it.
Yep, feels right.
Awesome. Well, hey, look there. So just to comment on that, there should be on FanDuel or DraftKings, you should be able to play alternate rushing yards, and you can play it at 48.5. You can play it at 58.5, 68.5, and obviously the odds get better as you go up. But they call that the ladder, and you can do multiple bets. Sounds like if you're liking them over 70, I'd play that ladder and let it ride.
Maybe I need to get ballsy. That might be the right play.
Dude, 70 yards?
Hey, Daddy, just slow down. Josh is going to do his thing. Just relax. It's going to be fine.
Last time that
all right,
Devin Singletary had over 70 yards in the game. I would love to hear that.
But it's not Devin. We're talking about Josh.
I know,
right,
but
let's move on to the next. The final game coming up. Daddy's cut off, but we'll come back to him in a minute.
All right, the last and final game of the NFL Divisional Round. We've got Dallas at San Francisco at Levi Stadium. San Francisco, they're laying 4 points right now. They're the home favorite. The over-under right now is sitting at 46.5, 46, depending on the book that you're looking at. This is an interesting game here because you really had Dallas, who I think a lot of people were betting against in the last game against Tampa. I think a lot of people were playing Tom Brady. They were all excited about the Buccaneers, and then Dallas just smacked them. And Dak answered every single question that he needed to answer last week. So I think this is an interesting game because it's which Dallas are you going to see? Are you going to see the Dallas that showed up last week against Tampa and Tom Brady? Or are you going to see the Dallas that led into that game where Dak was turning the ball over? I think he's thrown 14 or 15 picks. He's leading the NFL in picks, right up there with your boy Josh Allen, understudy. I think San Francisco at home, they've won 10 in a row. They're laying 4. I like San Francisco in this one. They're playing well. Brock Purdy, no team has figured him out yet. I don't think Dallas is going to figure him out. The one thing that worries me is that Dallas, from a talent wise, up front, Micah Parsons is an absolute beast to deal with. He plays defensive end, plays defensive tackle, plays middle linebacker. They throw him everywhere. That's not easy to scheme for. But San Francisco's not easy to scheme for either, because Kyle Shanahan's got people motioning everywhere. They're going to have Dallas is going to have to adjust to that motion that San Francisco has. I think that's going to make it. I think that's going to neutralize Micah Parsons, and I think he's the key to that defense. Stephon Diggs is going to shut down Deebo Samuel. I don't think we're going to see a big game out of Deebo. The question is going to be, and I think the X factor in this game is Christian McCaffrey. I think he's going to go off. I think he's going to have a fantastic game. I think he's going to lead the Niners to victory. I think they cover this 4 points. And I'm on the Niners in this one. But what do you guys think?
I'm going to go back to a total on this one. If you look historically combined against our opponents with this one, total is at 36.3 all year, well below the under when you combined the opposition. The under, and I'm not big on trends, but this trend was interesting. The under is 5-1 in the Cowboys' last 6 games in January, indicating that they probably slow down a touch towards the end of the year in most cases. And I do think that the Cowboys are aware that the 49ers are the superior offense. And the last thing they want to do is to get into a track meet, not the route that they're going to take at all. So I actually really like the under in this game.
I don't think Dallas is that good. I mean, I know you just got done saying that they beat Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is not a good team either. They're 8-9. I think this game is going to be kind of what you were drafting up there, Prolific. I think it's going to be the San Francisco offense versus the Dallas defense. I think whoever defeats or dominates the other is going to win this game. I just think that San Francisco's offense is far too elite. They've got too many options. I'll share a quick stat here. In the last 9 weeks, San Francisco has scored 33 or more points every time except 2. So, I mean, they're scoring the ball.
One of those being the Cowboys later. Anyways,
that's all
continue.
right. That's all right. So I actually have 2 plays here. I'll kind of drop them here real quick and then kind of get your thoughts. But I've actually got a team total for San Francisco over 24.5. And I'm also going to take the anytime touchdown from Christian McCaffrey. That's currently sitting at about minus 140. I know it's juiced a little bit, but I just think that he's going to score. And I think it's going to be, I don't know if it's a guarantee, but I like it enough that I'm going to take it.
I definitely love the over. I feel like both teams have.
Damn it, Daddy! Again?
Yeah.
Anyways, go ahead.
CeeDee Lamb, George Kittle, Schultz, Elliott, Christian McCaffrey, Brock Purdy, Deebo. Anyone can score at any minute, and then on top of that, Brock Purdy hasn't had a bad game. Maybe the pressure brings on where he throws a couple pick sixes. Like, I really think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Absolutely think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Like, anything that can happen. That's why I would never do money line on this game. Plus, like with Dak last week, a lot of the huge plays were Dak getting the first down with his legs. And then I've been betting, like Brock Purdy every week going over, 1.5 tutties. So they're each team has all these playmakers they can score in seconds. So I think the over is going to just skyrocket. Definitely. That's my bet. It's just the over. Anything.
All right. Fair enough.
And yes, I've drank a whole bottle of wine.
We bring out the best in our guests.
Yep.
We bring out the best in them.
As we said earlier, Daddy is indeed home today. I know, big shocker here, but we had to fact check Daddy's home. It is not the Beijing Royal Tigers. It is the Beijing Royal Fighters. And if you're curious, they played the Nanjing Monkey Kings. Okay, enough about Japanese basketball for now. But if you saw or got any kind of value out of our podcast today, we would really appreciate a follow at BYBR Podcast, at prolific_BYBR, at BYBR, at Understudy_BYBR. We hope you enjoyed Daddy's Home as much as we did. What a fun time. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next week.